Bruce's leadership style? What's it like working under him? And as you worked under him at multiple places, is there a story that kind of embodied who he is as a coach, as a leader and mentor?
His leadership style is very straight and to the point. He doesn't beat around the bush a lot. He gives you tough love, but then he loves you up at the same time. He likes everyone to know their job and do their job to the utmost and leave you be to do that. And, the biggest thing for him is, a story that I have that he's helped me a great deal. I think I had one game, we played Denver a couple years ago, and I think our quarterback might have got hurt in that game. They beat us pretty good, and he said the quarterback was hurt, so if I wanted to go after him every play, I can pretty much go after him. He doesn't hold back, and he likes us to throw every punch we can throw.
We'll go over to Omar Ruiz.
Hey, Todd.
How you doing, Omar?
Hey, Todd. Good to see you. I'm just curious what your first impressions were back in 2013 when you guys got Tyrann Mathieu, and if you envision the leader that he's become, at all the different stops that he's had along the way throughout his NFL journey.
Well, he's made me a better coach because he came in a great player. I just tried not to mess him up. From a leadership standpoint, even as a rookie, he was one of the first ones out on the field stretching every day. He took it very seriously. It means a lot to him. One of the smartest players I've ever seen coach this game, and played this game, and I've been doing it a long time. Leadership skills are natural for him. It's not anything made up for him. He's going to fight to the end. He's very intelligent as a ball player. He sees things on the field no one else can see, and you couple that with his leadership skills, and you got a great player. That's what he is.
We'll go over to Steve Weish.
Hey, Todd. Kind of you talking about the Honey Badger and all the things he does. What about your defense, though? I mean, especially the postseason, all of the takeaways you guys have been able to generate. What's kind of been, has there been a common thread as to what you guys have been able to do?
Just playing hard. The guys up front, we got some good players over there, and they're clicking at the right time. They're playing very well up front. We've been very opportunistic in the back end, and they're coming together making plays at the right time, and they smell blood and they go after it.
We'll go to Rich Cimini.
Hi, Todd. How you doing? Kind of a flashback for you here. Could you just describe what sort of reflections do you have on your time with the Jets and any disappointment you might take away, and also what you learned that maybe could help you become a better coach, present and future?
Well, obviously, the disappointment is not winning ball games, trying to help the team win the Super Bowl. But learning, there was a lot of great people in the building. When you become a head coach for the first time, I think you learn a lot from the business side of it, from the management side of it, as opposed to building your team, how you want your team, off-field issues. You become a better coach if you're on one side of the ball or the other. Defensively, it made me a good coach because I got a chance to sit in a lot of offensive meetings and learn a lot of things offensively that you don't get privy to just being a defensive coordinator. So that made me a better coach all the way around. And people person and people skills all the way around, you become a natural at it, going through things as a head coach. So you just keep working and try to be better from that standpoint. But those are a lot of things I took from New York.
We'll go to Therese Paylor.
Hey, Coach Bowles, how you doing today?
Good. How you doing?
I'm great, man. Hey, listen, I'd like to tap into your vast knowledge of football for a second, if possible. Obviously the Chiefs present some matchup issues for every team they face just because of Hill and Kelce. But I'm just curious, in all your years of football, how special is Kelce in particular as a route runner? And, I know you guys don't worry about Hall of Fame bona fides and that stuff, but I am curious to know, like, the special traits you see in this guy that, really stand out to you.
Well, he can run and catch, but he's such a smart football player. He has a lot of savvy. He can figure things out, whether he's singling them, doubling them, or playing zone. He'll make the right blocks at the right time. He plays with a high motor. He understands the game, and he has a great rapport with the quarterback. I mean, he's probably one of the best I've seen since I've been coaching. This is probably my 20th year in the league right now. And other than him playing against you, you marvel at watching him play, because if there's a big play to be had, somehow he finds a way to get open, and that says a lot about the guy.
We'll go to Nora Princiotti from The Ringer.
Hi, Coach. So Kansas City's been one of the best teams in the league this year and for the last couple of years on third downs, and in particular in those third and long situations that would normally be pretty unfavorable for an offense. Is there something critical about defending those well when you've already done the work to get them into, a 3rd and 10 plus, particularly because it can be sort of demoralizing when they do find a way to convert those?
Well, it looks very comfortable for them, 3rd and 10 plus. They convert a lot of them, like you said, whether Pat does it with his arm or with his feet. He has a lot of weapons to go to, and it's not just Hill and Kelce. It's Hardman, it's Robinson. They got Watkins. They got a slew of weapons that they can go to. And as a defense, that's what you want. But at the same time, with them converting such a high rate, it poses a big problem. So we got to play great just to make sure we're in that situation and win.
We'll go to Ben Shipkill from the New York Times.
Hey, Todd. I was wondering about, we know how much speed the Chiefs have on offense, but what is it besides that allows them to get so many yards after the catch?
Well, they play fast, but they understand football. They're not just a track team out there. They can beat you vertically or horizontally. Then they can turn around and run the football quite a bit. So they keep you off balance a lot. I think they have a great scheme. Coach Reed and Coach Bieniemy do a great job getting those guys prepared to play and understanding what they have to do to win the game. I don't think they worry about the opposition. I think they do what they do very well, and they do it better than anybody else.
We'll go to Joey Knight.
Todd, back in the Temple days, if you don't mind me taking you back there, what did you see did you see anything in Coach even back then that made you believe or led you to believe he'd be special?
I know he was a grinder. The very first time he came in, we had this test. We had to run 2 330s and 2 160s, and it was pretty much an Olympic time. And it was the very first time I trained all summer and ran as hard as I could, training to get ready for something. And the guy I trained with ran before me, and he passed out, and they took him off on the stretcher. So there was no hope in me, and I was just trying to finish. So nobody really passed the test that day. He got the whole team up the next morning at 6 a.m. to run more sprints because he said we weren't in shape. And at that point, you could see it, the determination and the drive that he had, not taking defeat as an answer and trying to get everybody into shape. And you knew you had something going right there.
We'll go to Sarah Walsh. Sarah?
You got me?
Yep.
Hey, Coach. Obviously, you want everyone at full strength, and facing this Chiefs team with your safeties that I know are not 100%, and there's still a couple of days to get to game day. What would it mean to you guys to have Jordan Whitehead and Antoine Winfield out there operating as healthy as they can be?
I mean, it would mean a lot, mostly because the guys they played hard all year to get to this standpoint, and they've helped us out a great deal. So for them to miss the game, if they are to miss it, would be unfortunate. But we're very confident in Adams and Edwards and everybody else playing behind them if they have to play, because they played a lot of football. But it'd be great to have those guys back.
We'll go over to Vinny Iyer.
Hey, Todd, how's it going?
Good. How you doing?
All right. So you guys were very successful rushing 4 against Green Bay there in the championship game. That was a big reason why you guys won. Now, similar situation, a team that has an injured left tackle. Now, does that change the way you attack, and that they're flipping a guy as well to the left side and putting a new guy on the right side? Or how do you kind of exploit that, knowing that you got your 2 guys, Shaquille and JPP, in sync right now?
Well, they're playing well. And again, these guys won a lot of ball games regardless of who's playing. We can't worry about who's playing. We just have to try to slow down the team as a whole. We're not worried about a tackle or a guard. We put out there who we put out there. We got 2 safeties hurting, so they got 2 tackles hurting, so that evens it out a little more. But we just got to do what we do better than they do what they do.
We'll go to Richard Graves from Sky Sports.
Hey, Coach. I've got a follow-up as well, if I can, quickly. But first of all, how do you prepare for this high-octane, high-powered offense, having already played them once? What's changed?
Well, nothing's changed yet because we haven't played them. But, anytime you prepare for a team that has a lot of weapons, it's going to be a challenge. And all 11 guys on defense are going to have to be on the same page. So we're just working towards that. And we're working towards one goal, trying to win a game. And we don't have to be the best every day. We just got to be the best on Sunday.
And following that game in week 12, I know Coach Arians said he felt it was a pivotal point in the season for you guys. So what clicked after that game and how did it come together?
Well, in a long season like that, when you get beat like that, and it's still only one game, whether we win by that much or lose by that much. And I think it was good for the younger guys, especially in the secondary, to try to bounce back from it and go on with the season. So I thought they grew up mentally from that game. You never wanted that to happen to your team, and I definitely didn't want it to happen to our team. But I thought the guys learned from it mentally, and it made them mentally tougher going forward.
We'll go to Rick Stroud. Rick? All right. We're going to go over to Arnie Stapleton.
Hey, Todd. I'm just wondering if you see in Shaq Barrett, like his DNA is, Von Miller and DeMarcus Ware. He was on the practice squad in Denver when he first got here, and he really took to learning from them. And within his second year, he was kind of a surprise and earning all these accolades. Have you seen in his game in Tampa some of that DNA from the guys that he learned from?
You see it from a hand placement standpoint in the pass rush. He's got quite an arsenal. He can go power, he can go speed, and he can beat you with technique. And, I can't take credit for that. He had to learn that from Von Miller and DeMarcus Ware and those guys when he came in. So you see a lot of that part of it.
We'll go over to Dave Burkett.
Hey, Todd. Hope you're doing well. Good luck this week. Just you had an interview scheduled with the Lions that you didn't end up taking. I was just wondering if you could explain why. Maybe they told you that Dan was getting the job, A, and then B, I think you were with Dan both when he was a player in Dallas and when he was first got into coaching in Miami. What do you think of him as a coach?
They canceled the interview. I never got the interview. I think they didn't feel like waiting. They had their mind made up. But Dan's a great coach and he's a great person. Strong leader, very smart, very intelligent, very diligent. He's going to hold everybody accountable. Happy for him.
All right, we're going to go to Steve Isbitz.
Coach, just last week, Bruce Arians said that Tom Brady has had as much of an effect on the defense as he's had on the offense. Can you give some insight as to what Coach Arians might be looking at there or what you've experienced from Tom Brady's effect on your defense?
Well, just talking to the guys coming out to practice and after practice, just monitoring how they mentally feel after plays and how they look after plays and just talking football and just really from a performance standpoint, when they see how hard he works and everything he does, as diligent as he does it, nobody wants to let anybody down. So those guys work harder from that standpoint. And you don't want to get embarrassed at practice having Brady pick on you every day. So you better pick your game up. I think a lot of that part has carried over to the defense and made them more accountable.
We'll go to Calvin Watkins.
Hey, Todd, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Calvin.
Todd, when you were in Dallas under Coach Parcells, it was at that staff, I think 5 coaches out of that group became head coaches. Can you just talk about just that group of coaches, you and Coach Haley and Sperano and Peyton, how important it was just to learn under Coach Parcells and eventually become head coaches?
We didn't know that at the time, but learning under Bill, I think, is one of the best to learn under all the way around because he teaches everybody everything. He teaches coaches how to look at other coaches and see the ball game. And on that staff, believe me, it was Sperano and Peyton and Anthony Lynn and Zimmer, myself, Coach Rogers included, Pasqualoni, Freddie Kitchens was on that staff, Todd Haley, obviously. We had a bunch of guys at the time that worked well together under Bill. And, he ran a tight ship, but he helped us become better coaches by just constantly talking football and explaining things to us individually as well as collectively.
We'll go to Tom Rock.
Todd, I know Rich asked you earlier about the Jets. When you look back at that experience, what went wrong? Why weren't you able to get those wins? And do you feel like you were given a fair shake in that job?
I mean, I had 4 years. You get 4 years to try to make some things happen. You don't make excuses as a head coach, and the buck stops there. So I will take everything from my part that I've learned from a responsibility standpoint, because it starts with me. Everybody else has to hold themselves accountable. I just can hold myself accountable. Unfortunate that we didn't win. We played a lot of close games, and the discussion, we didn't win. There's no sense to sit here and say shoulda, coulda, woulda. You go through that after the season when you get let go. That's 2 years removed now. Again, I think it made me a better coach than I was back then. Not that I was a bad coach then, but your record shows that you are. So you have to eat that. You have to regroup, and you have to become a better coach, and that's what I'm doing.
We'll go to Patrick Finley.
Hey, Todd, two Chicago-themed questions for you, if you don't mind. Number one, what was the conversation like 2 years ago when they had an opening at defensive coordinator? I know you and Matt go way back. And number two, what was Matt's dad like as a high school coach?
Me and Matt are good friends. We talk a lot anyway. So we had a conversation. Obviously, it entails the whole family and everything else. And we remain good friends till this day. And I'll leave that conversation right where it was. But, hopefully one day we'll work together again. Matt's dad was a screamer and a yeller. He was almost like kind of Randy Macho Man Savage. He coached D-line for us back then in high school. And he never came to work not wired up. Matt's completely opposite, by the way.
I was going to say, that's not him at all.
All right, we're going to go over to Greg Allman.
Hey, Todd, I hope you're doing well. Bruce said last week that this has.
Greg, you cut off there.
Sorry, Todd, can you hear me?
Yep.
Hey, Bruce said last week that this has been the most rewarding year of his coaching career. I just want to ask you what you've seen to show that and why you think it's been so rewarding for you guys.
I think to get all the free agents that we got and everybody to come together at the right time, and the team constantly build and then go through some adversity and keep building, I think it was very, very rewarding for him, especially coming back, and for him to go to his first Super Bowl as a head coach. You can't do nothing but tip your hat off to him, putting all these pieces together in a strange year that it's been for everyone, and to come out on the other end of it and have a chance to win a Super Bowl has been great for him.
We're going to go to Jeff Seversky. Jeff, you're muted.
There you go. I had hit it twice. Hey, Todd, it's Jeff from ABC in Philadelphia. I hope all is well. If I could take you back to your Temple days, one, do you remember when Coach told you that maybe you should go into coaching? And two, how special is it that, you and Bruce and all the other guys on your staff, got your start at Temple and are now here in the Super Bowl with a chance to win it all?
I remember when I dislocated my wrist and they said I wasn't going to play again, that he wanted me to just give up my career and go into coach. And I didn't take too well to that part of it. I was hard-headed and played anyway. And as far as going to Super Bowl with all the guys here that went to Temple that I've either played with or that has coached me, it's been very rewarding. It's great to come to work every day. The camaraderie is outstanding. It's nonstop comedy, but we do put in a lot of work. And it's great to get up in the morning and go to work with guys that you like being around.
We'll go to Mark Cannizzaro.
Hey, Todd, congratulations.
Thanks, Mark.
I have two things. One thing is a little offbeat. I just regarding Tom Moore. He's been around for so long. I want to know what your perspective is for a guy like that that's still doing it, and what he's bringing to you guys.
Ooh, Tom is great. I mean, I get into work at 4:15, 4:30, and I'm probably 2 hours behind Tom. Tom has brought so much football knowledge, and he does so much film study, offensively and defensively. I mean, he'll grab me and pull me to the side and talk about red zone things and talk about things he sees that'll help me a great deal. But bigger than that, he's the oldest, but he's probably the biggest prankster and jokester on the staff. And he's hilarious. He's great to be around. He's always here. He's always giving knowledge and understanding of things. And he puts a lot of things in perspective for us.
Can you imagine, just as a follow-up, still doing what he's doing at his age. If you look at where you're at right now, and I mean, to span that kind of time, can you imagine that?
I can't imagine that. I don't expect me to be doing it at that time. So my hats are off to him.
We'll go over to Jenna Lane. Jenna? You're unmuted. We can hear you. All right. We'll go over to Mark Cook then.
Hey, Coach. I know you generated some interest after the season ended with some head coaching opportunities and maybe an interview in Atlanta and Philly. But are you as shocked as a lot of people across the league that a guy like Eric Bieniemy has still not gotten that head coaching job? And do you just throw your hands up at this point when you look at the minority coaching situation in the NFL and just move on with your job, or are there some things that you'd like to do to try and promote that and move that issue farther along with the league?
Well, you always move on as a coach. You try to be the best coach you can be. Again, there's only 32 of these jobs open right now. It's unfortunate for Eric. He's been in the Super Bowl 2 years in a row and hadn't gotten an opportunity. I think he's an outstanding coach and an outstanding person. You get frustrated a little bit, but all you can do is work. Everybody gets frustrated when they don't get a job, and that could be any one of the coaches in the league, regardless of race. So you just try to move on and coach and be the best you can be, and his opportunity will come. I'm sure of that. Because, again, he's an outstanding coach. I have a lot of respect for Eric, and his time will come. But you want to do some things to move forward, but what do you do from that standpoint? I think coaches can't be the ones moving it. It's got to be everybody else trying to move it. All we can do is coach and be responsible daily for what we do.
We have about 5 more minutes. We're going to go to Adam Kildor of the Washington Post.
Hello, Todd. Your guys' staff is very diverse, not just in terms of race, but in terms of age and even gender. I wonder how does that diversity of backgrounds and thinking translate into making the Bucs a better team?
I mean, I think it's great. First, it falls on Bruce. Got a bunch of people that know how to coach. He got a bunch of people that know how to coach. He's just not going to hire somebody to hire somebody. But he assembled a very diverse staff of people that are very good at what they do and collectively work well together. And then that's the biggest thing that you get out of all this. We're all in it as one. We all have our own niche to make the team better, and we're all trying to do that.
We'll go over to Ben Bolden.
Hey, Todd, congratulations on making it to the Super Bowl. I was curious if you could talk about how smart Tom Brady is. He 43 years old. He's played such a long time in the NFL. How difficult is it for a defensive coordinator to give him a new look or to fool him on something?
I mean, it's tough to give him a new look, but it's not just Tom. Everybody's got to be in sync. But his knowledge of the game, his understanding of the game, and more importantly, his work ethic of the game separates him from a lot of quarterbacks that I've been around. And just the way, you see a lot of superstars that are superstars. He handles it just like a regular person. He's very polite off the field. He gives help. He gives knowledge. He can laugh at himself if he trips and falls. He has a great personality and a great work ethic that helps him be the great quarterback that he is.
Go back to Joe.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Yay! Sorry about that. I guess I'm a little technologically challenged today. Great to see you, Coach. It really, just going back and watching the tape from these last 2 playoff games in particular, it seems like your secondary has just really been a difference maker. Can you just speak to the work that you've done with those guys, including all those early morning film sessions, which I'm still not clear as to what time those actually start at?
Well, I got to start with Coach Ross and Coach Rapone. They started out doing a great job with those guys on the back end. They spent countless hours with them. I'll come in and have my part of it as well. But, they're starting to gel together. Hopefully the communications picked up. The attention to details picked up a lot more, and they're starting to understand what it takes to be a pro in this league. And I think that's a lot. That says a lot.
We'll go over to Jeff McClain.
Todd, you obviously interviewed with the Eagles for their head coaching position. What was the process like, and do you feel like not being able to do it in person affected you at all?
Anytime you Zoom, it's hard to get a job, and I'm still playing. I'm thankful for that. So you don't get a second interview. And I know the jobs are running out, so time is limited for teams in the playoffs. This has happened year in and year out. I have a great relationship with those guys. Howie and Jeffrey I have nothing but great respect for, as well as the organization. And they gave me a fair shake. And we're still playing, and I'm happy to still be playing.
We'll go to Brian Costello.
Hey, Todd.
Guys.
Just curious with Mahomes. Do you remember the first time he popped up on your radar? I imagine you guys considered him in 2017 when you were drafting. Do you remember anything about scouting him at Texas Tech or anything?
I remember having a great arm. Obviously, he had a great arm. He was a baseball player. I really liked that because I was a baseball player. I know he could throw the ball, and I know he's going to be a good player. He was very athletic at the time, and that's what I remember about him.
We'll go over to Deanne King.
Hey, Coach. Deanne King here from WFLA in Tampa. Go Bucks. We're so excited for you guys. But I wanted to expand the conversation about diversity. This is going to be the first time we see one of the most diverse coaching staffs on this field, especially on this huge stage. Super Bowl Sunday, we're here in Black History Month. If you could, two-part question for you. Speak to what it's like as a Black man to be in the position that you are in and what your message would be to young men who look up to you and aspire to be in the same position that you are in. And ultimately, what message do you hope that this sends to the entire nation and really the entire world?
Well, the first thing I hope they just see a coach and not an African-American coach. We know what color we are, believe me. We see it every day in the mirror. We want to be recognized as just coaches in this league because we all grinded and worked our way up to this point and got to the game by being good coaches, not by being good Black coaches. And, just for people of our color, as a young kid growing up and you see part of this game, it's good to see some of us in this position. So from that standpoint, you want to be proud and do things for them, but you want to be recognized and leave an impression first and foremost as a football coach and nothing more than that. And I think when we start seeing us more as just football coaches instead of African-American coaches, I think we'll start to move the needle a little bit more. It's been moving, but it's got to move a little bit faster. The message you send is to do your job the best way you can do it and try to go out and compete and win the ball game as a coach. And I think everything else follows that.
Okay, we'll end there. Thanks, Todd.
Thank you.